in New York City. On a street in the East 40s, there's an ordinary tailor shop. Or is it ordinary? We entered through the agent's entrance, and we are now in U.N.C.L.E. headquarters. That's the United Network Command for Law and Enforcement. U.N.C.L.E. is an organization consisting of agents of all nationalities. It's involved in maintaining political and legal order anywhere in the world.
My name is Napoleon Solo. I'm an enforcement agent in Section 2 here. That's operations and enforcement.
I am Ilya Kuryakin. I am also an enforcement agent. Like my friend Napoleon, I go and I do whatever I am told to by our chief.
Alexander Waverly, number 1, Section 1. In charge of this, our New York headquarters. It's from here that I send these young men on their various missions.
I've named this episode Closed Channel D.
Aww.
Robert Francis Vaughn, November 22nd, 1932 to November 11th, 2016. He was born on the day JFK was assassinated, but some 30 years before.
Yeah, I was going to say. And I apologize to anyone who ends up listening to this later. I have allergies, so I'm going to be sounding stuffed up and probably doing a little sniffling.
Perhaps you should introduce yourself.
Oh, I thought everybody knew who I was. I'm famous. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Bronwyn Knox, and this is my husband, David Lawler.
So, we have a sad occasion. We are gathered here today to pay respects to our dead. His best-known TV roles include Suave by Napoleon Solo in the 1960 series The Man from U.N.C.L.E., wealthy detective Harry Rule in the 1970 series The Protectors, formidable. It's either formidable or formidable. How do you say it?
I thought it was formidable.
Formidable! Oh, I used to say it too. No, that's not how you do it. I used to get cut down so badly by linguists. I've known linguists all day. And you say formidable, they look at you as though you're a complete troglodyte. It's formidable.
I am.
Formidable. Pretend you're John Houseman and say formidable. Your formidable opponent, Ms. Knox.
Got it. Okay.
General Hunt Stockwell in the 5th season of the 1980s series. The A-Team, who I remember him from that. He was awesome. I loved him in that. In film, it says here, he portrayed quiet, skittish gunman Lee in The Magnificent Seven. Can you imagine Robert Vaughn being skittish?
No, not really.
Come on, Lee, fire your gun. I don't want to. I'm nervous. But Lee, we're all going to die if you don't fire your gun. I'm sorry, I'm nervous.
We haven't seen that movie, so we don't know how that plays out, but I'd like to see
I
that
saw it
movie.
a long time ago, never recognized him.
Oh, really?
It's kind of like DeForest Kelley played Doc Holliday in Gunfight at the OK Corral with Burt Lancaster.
And you didn't recognize him?
No, because he was like a supporting character. He wasn't the star. He was a character actor, The voice of Proteus IV, the computer villain of Demon Seed, which we have on DVD, and I guess I should show you now because it is such an awesomely creepy science fiction movie.
Great.
Directed by Donald Cammell. He's the voice, I believe it's Garrett Graham, builds this sentient robot, and it has the voice of Robert Vaughn, which gives it an extra creepy vibe, wants to have sex with Julie Christie and produce children. Computer children. This is what happens when you give intelligence to computers. They think they can breed with you.
Okay.
It's such a great movie.
Looking forward to that.
And he's Walter Chalmers in Bullitt with Steve McQueen. Friend of Steve McQueen. Appeared in a couple of movies, including Magnificent Seven Samurai with him. And he was Ross Webster in Superman 3, one of my favorites. I love Superman 3.
So, yeah, of course I remember Superman 3.
He is great. He says, I ask you to kill Superman, and you're telling me you can't do this one simple thing.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
And he was also in the Young Philadelphians, which earned him a 1960 Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. How do you like that? He was a member of the Academy.
That's great. He's a New Yorker, right? He's from New York.
Born in New York City, born and raised. And you would never know it because, with that accent, he has such a distinctive voice about him. He's like like Mr. Solo, we have a mission today. You're supposed to go to Paris. What? I got to go to Paris now? All right, get that Russian guy, Ilya, and we'll get our stuff and we'll go. Okay, boss?
Yeah, no, he doesn't talk like that. You go ahead,
Mr. Solo, please.
Do your real impression of him, because you do a pretty good impression of him. Go ahead.
My impersonation of Robert Vaughn?
Yes, please.
Yes, this is my. How do you do, Bronwyn? You have a very interesting name. There's a cat on your table. So Vaughn is totally this television icon, part of the golden age of television. He was the American James Bond, as created by Ian Fleming, Napoleon Solo. They actually, I believe the producers and developers of the show actively sought out Ian Fleming to create this character specifically. And he not only created the character, he did come up with the setup of Uncle and the other ancillary characters around it, and the mission of this organization. But Ian Fleming was kind of owned by Albert Cubby Broccoli's Eon Productions, and they because he created James Bond, he actually had to for some reason fill out papers and make it legal that he wasn't ripping off James Bond to create Man from U.N.C.L.E. The television show was not widely available or seen in Europe, but Europeans started to see bits of Man from U.N.C.L.E. and they wanted more. So the I believe it was MGM cut together 2-part episodes that they had, added footage with new actors in different situations to give it a nice big feature-length time.
Right.
Re-edited them together as feature-length films, and they actually played theatrically. They weren't like on TV. They turned them into theatrical movies. A lot of this happens in Europe. I've discovered over the years because they don't get access to television movies and certain television series. Well, nowadays they do because we have this massive global internet and all that stuff. So
right.
They get to see that. But what they used to do, they used to make money distributing our television movies over there and make. I remember Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park has a separate European theatrical release. It was released in movie theaters. But this Man from U.N.C.L.E. thing, they made money. Can we talk a little bit about 2016 and how much it sucks?
All right, seems slightly off topic, but
slightly off topic. It's the year of celebrity death, is it not?
Oh, yes, that's true. I see what you mean. Yeah, so starting off the year with David Bowie dying, that was a really big blow.
David Bowie, Prince.
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder, yeah, we know that. Leonard Cohen, too.
Cohen.
A day before, right before this.
Alan Rickman.
Yeah. This is Alan Rickman. And I am a terrorist.
I mean, every year a few celebrities die, but it just seems like they were
This
really...
is no good. I sound like Caitlyn Jenner. Now I sound like Caitlyn Jenner.
It really hit hard this year.
It really did. This is terrible. How long will the in memoriam segment of the Academy Awards be, do you think?
It's long, yeah.
So in the, what was a 1963-64 television season, Vaughn appeared in The Lieutenant as Captain Raymond Rambridge alongside Gary Lockwood. The Lieutenant was the first television show created by Gene Roddenberry before he created Star Trek.
Huh, interesting.
So there's always some kind of a weird connection. According to this, I'm going to sound like Jimmy Stewart now. You ready? His dissatisfaction with the somewhat diminished aspect of the character led him to request an expanded role. During the conference, his name came up in a telephone call, and he ended up being offered a series of his own as Napoleon Solo, title character in a series originally to be called Solo, but which became the Man from U.N.C.L.E. You're completely distracted now because of Jimmy's story.
Yes, I am. It had nothing...
Should I go back to my Bruce Jenner? We have to destroy the Batman.
If you could just be yourself, that'd be enough, actually, yeah.
I could be myself. I can try. So, what happened was... This is the beginning of the story. You ready? This is a lot of fun. I think I was moving some furniture in the living room one night. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. played at the time on MeTV, which is this great television station based out of Middletown, New Jersey. I think it's like an antenna that also has a cable high-definition hookup because it's a local channel. Because during the day, sometimes they'll show local programming out of nowhere. Like, what's the farming report from Middletown, New Jersey or something like that? Stuff you really don't need to know. But then after that, they show all this great stuff like Star Trek, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Incredible Hulk, Lost in Space, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. And then this show called Svengoolie, which is on right now, I believe. Svengoolie, another TV horror host type thing. Guy has makeup on and everything, and he's making a lot of bad jokes.
Classic and old, not so classic horror films that he kind of makes fun of. Yep.
Yeah. So they showed The Man from U.N.C.L.E. really late, like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. And I enjoy rearranging furniture in the middle of the night while everybody sleeps. That's just one of my things.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that makes me me.
Right.
All right. I keep it on that channel. I don't usually watch. I don't get that far. I usually, maybe I'll put something else on or something, whatever, maybe a movie or a Honeymooners rerun or something. But I kept the television on for that time. And I'm watching it, and it's the My Friend the Gorilla Affair episode from the 3rd season. And it's it was such a bizarre, hip, fun episode. I said, I got to show this to Bronwyn. And I think you even came out at one point to get a glass of water or whatever, and you're like, what is this? This is bizarre. That's what you were like, what?
That, yeah.
What is that? He's dancing with a gorilla? What's going on here? What was the first episode we watched together?
What I remember is that we watched The Suburbia Affair with featuring Rita Shaw. And I liked it right away. Like, that one episode was enough to hook me into wanting to see more of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. It's just so... What little bits I could follow were so bizarre with the exploding milk.
Rita Shaw.
The exploding
Frosty.
bread. And then
exploding
later on,
bread. Exploding...
the whole chase scene where Ilya swipes an ice cream truck. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a car chase scene with an ice cream truck, and the music speeds up as he gets faster. And then people are throwing bombs that are made to look like fudgesicles.
Popsicles. It was great. Yeah, I was like, wow, this is
the first one we watched
the show
together?
for me. Yeah,
is that really the first? Are you sure?
That is the first one.
So what did you think of it?
Well, I think I just covered
what
that.
What the hell?
I mean, I was kind of like, what the hell, but what the hell in a good way. Like, oh, this is a very entertaining show.
There's something, there is definitely. I love the effortless feel, the who gives a crap if any of this makes sense passion of the storytelling, the unbridled 60s era sexuality, the costumes, the architecture, the production design. I love that era of television and filmmaking. There was like this unusual seismic shift in the pop culture that started in the mid-60s. And Vaughn, I know he's been in so many movies and television shows, but he's absolutely Napoleon Solo for me.
He's perfect. He's so good at it.
When we finally watched the remake, the update, the 2015 movie with Henry Cavill, it didn't seem right. It was wrong.
Oh boy.
Guy Ritchie. It was Guy Ritchie. He's a talented filmmaker. I'll give him that. But he directed a Guy Ritchie movie that had characters named after the characters from the television show. It reminded me of his other films, Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Same dramatic beats.
They basically just took two good-looking guys and beat the crap out of them for 2 hours. That was the whole plot. It's
like, I don't know. It's like someone else playing Captain Kirk. It doesn't make any sense to you. It does not compute. It's like Shatner is Kirk. Nimoy is Spock. You can't replace them. And they would love for you to think that, oh, no, they're just characters. Actors don't mean anything. That's so not true. Henry Cavill is such a stiff. He has no... I don't know why, but today, these days, with actors these days, if anybody tried to pull off the kind of charm and sex appeal of a Robert Vaughn, come off looking creepy. For some reason, Vaughn and actors of that ilk back in those days could pull off being sexy and just oozing charisma without looking like creepy pervs. Have you noticed this? This?
There was something... Well, it was generally pretty subtle. A lot of the things were... not stated so directly as they are now, and that's part of the reason why you couldn't really get away with that. We were just
watching an episode. What were we watching?
It's the Something Affair, because all the episodes...
That's Something Affair. That's
all the episodes have affair.
I can't remember the name of this episode, Affair. It was the one where they go...
Napoleon's Tomb Affair.
No, Napoleon's Tomb Affair.
How could we forget
There's
that?
A shot
because
there. Yeah, I know.
Creepy,
I know,
actually.
It is kind of creepy that we picked that one. Actually, the first episode we watched right after he died was an episode that featured him exclusively. David McCallum wasn't in the episode.
Right.
It was the Chaka Khan Affair. I forgot the name.
Can't remember.
The Sisterhood of the Wu-Tang Clan Affair. The Deadly Smorgasbord Affair?
Yes, that was the one.
Something with this
Anyway,
evil...
get to your point about Robert Vaughn.
Oh, the point. I forgot my point. No, there's a scene at the head of the scene. He's there like chatting up some girl behind a counter, and it's like it's really awesome how you can just do that. You can't really do that anymore.
No, if you did that now, you wouldn't do that with a hero that you like. They show him in the U.N.C.L.E. headquarters.
Men
this
suck
girl
today,
is walking by, and he like swivels his head and blatantly checks out her ass.
Of course,
and he's the hero of the show. If they showed a character doing that now, they would telegraph that that guy is a big sleaze. But you don't ever feel that Napoleon Solo is a sleaze. You know that he likes women, but that's funny. That's part of his character.
You can't. There are no real men anymore. If I must get David Mamet on you.
Oh, brother.
Whoever told you that you could work with men? There are no real men anymore. It's all this kind of, I don't know, everybody's walking on eggshells. You've got this man-child syndrome, and I'm not a man. We are not men. You know? Remember Seinfeld when he was talking to George? He's like, he says, we're not men. And he says, no, we are not. We are not men.
Well, so do you want to talk a little bit about your favorite episodes? Because I think
convenient how I have it scrolled up here already. So you can read.
Out of time. No, I can't.
You told me that.
I just had to...
Dave, I can't read. And I was like, you can read. You can. We know you can. All right. I can't read, Dave. Can't talk either. Oh. How do you like my horrible Marley Matlin there?
Is that what that was supposed to be?
I was trying to. Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry, kids. Sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, you're just offended and embarrassed.
Anyway. I'm embarrassed. I'm not offended.
I want to get the first thing I wanted to talk about, freaking duplicates here. I'll say one, then you say one, huh? How about we do that?
Oh, we have some duplications? I tried to avoid that. But...
Well, I just want to make sure that we don't cross the streams, as it were. Crossing the streams would be bad. All right, now what I have here is the Mad Tea Party affair from season 1. This is when it really kicked into gear. It took them about...
For you.
For 15 episodes, 16 episodes, they're establishing the formula. And you're starting to get in the groove, because it is rather unorthodox, the way everything is set up in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. It's not your conventional TV show for the time, because they gave you these acts. There were 4 acts, and they would title each act, and they named it the so-and-so affair.
So what do you like about the Mad Tea Party affair?
It's great, because you've got this New York chick who's about to get married to this guy. Somebody spills something on her. She goes into the dry cleaner, Del Floria's Tailors, which is actually the front for the Uncle entrance. And then she winds up getting thrown into one of their adventures at a really bad time, when they're about to get, where they're being audited, basically, by this efficiency expert named Richard Hayden, who is, I believe, Waverly's brother-in-law or something like that, right?
Right.
And he's just basically putting them through the paces and trying to rehearse them for an actual incident.
Testing their security.
Meanwhile, there's an actual thrust agent in there who's trying to kill people. They're planning this big meeting over there. And then you've got this woman who just wants to get the hell out of there. And they're keeping her, and they're observing her, and they're interrogating her.
She's great. She is totally hysterical. She's laughing. She's crying. She goes totally crazy.
Yeah.
And they do a good bad cop on her, like Robert Vaughn's all sensitive and nice to her.
Yeah, he's the nice one.
Illy has to be mean to her.
Right.
Which, but at the end, then she finds out that he's nice. Yeah.
I like when there's a lot of humor, especially observational humor, from normal people looking at this operation.
Okay, so contrary to what you said, I think that the episodes were pretty good even early on, after maybe the first 2 or 3. One of the ones I really like is the Dove affair.
Well, I wasn't saying they were bad. I was just saying I felt like it really...
All right.
Anyway... It kicked into gear. It hit its...
The Dove affair is so...
what do you call it? I don't know.
Beautifully photographed, for one thing. I mean, it just looks amazing. And it's as good as any film. Ricardo Montalban plays this character who is very mysterious. You don't really know if he's a good guy or a bad guy.
He sells rich Corinthian leather in his spare time.
Napoleon Solo is trying to help him sneak this dove pin out of the country. Or actually, he's trying to get the pin from Ricardo Montalban's character's name I can't remember. And they end up on this train. I love the episodes that take place on trains. They do a really good job with that. Ends up on a train where he meets the woman from... Who is the actress? It's like an iconic actress. It's June
Lockhart.
It was June Lockhart from Lost in Space. Okay. So there's always an innocent character in every episode. There's a character known as the Innocent who meets the man from U.N.C.L.E.
Usually a dizzy blonde.
And they kind of end up caught up in the danger zone.
June is June some kind of school teacher or something? She's chaperoning a group of teenagers across Europe. American teenagers across Europe.
And so she ends up helping him.
Right, and one of those is a thrush agent.
This dove pin they're trying to sneak out, which has all these secrets out. They're trying to sneak it back to U.N.C.L.E. headquarters. Anyway, check that one out if you don't see any other, because I think it's really beautiful and worth
watching.
Written
by Robert Towne, right?
Yes, written by Robert Towne, absolutely.
That's why it confused the hell out of me. Because I was like, we were watching it at the end of it, and I said, oh, it was written by Robert Towne. He's like, that's why it was so confusing. Okay, my next one is the Bow Wow Affair. Leo J. Carroll, in a dual role, plays Waverly's cousin. What is it with identical cousins?
Identical cousins.
I don't understand. I can understand sisters.
I don't
Even
know.
if you're not even an identical twin, a lot of sisters look alike.
Yeah.
But
So why do you like the Bow Wow affair? Getting you back on track.
because Schneider's in it, and he plays some ridiculous accented
vet. He's
vet.
a veterinarian. Oh, he's wonderful. Yeah.
First, I think, this is probably the first of Pat Harrington's many roles on the show. He's in every other episode, practically.
His scene in the vet's office where he's talking to them about the dogs and how you can control dogs with various chemicals. He's hilarious.
What's that line you said? There was some line that you
I
kept
don't.
repeating.
It's not. I wasn't quoting
Said
it.
something about an
correctly.
angry dog.
Is that I don't know what you are trying to do, but you will have one upset dog on your hands. Something
Right.
like that. Yeah.
And Susan Oliver's in it, and also this is like the first episode that Ilya has a girlfriend. He has a little girlfriend,
It's
I think.
pretty much actually where this was supposed to be about Robert Vaughn, but that's a pretty Ilya heavy episode.
It is.
Vaughn's-
Doesn't Robert Vaughn have a broken arm
Yeah.
throughout the whole thing? And
Yeah.
he appears at the end.
Ilya gets
with
a
a
little
dog.
pet fox, and he names it Napoleon. And it's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cute. Next up for me, I chose the Brain Killer affair, which I like because it has a very Halloween-esque kind of atmosphere. There's these creepy mannequins. There's a lot of screaming. Yvonne, what's her last name?
Mannequin. Yvonne Craig, Batgirl.
Yvonne Craig from
Right.
played
She's
Batgirl.
a hottie. She's got like she's the only time you ever see her as a human being is on this show.
Right, she's a mannequin painter, but she gets caught by the Thrush agents who have Leo Jacaro, who have Waverly in the hospital because they're
Is
trying
this
to
a
do
color
something
or
to
a
his
black
brain.
and white?
It's black and white. It's really scary. And man, Yvonne, she can scream. Her scream.
She's actually an incredibly talented actress too.
But the actress who
she's one of the
played,
few rare, I guess, strong female characters on the show. Because for the most part, a lot of females exist as a distraction, as a bad guy, or as kind of just an employee eye candy, kind of like most TV
I
of
mean,
that
I
time.
don't know if she was that strong. She's poor and she's trying to support her brother who's been the victim of these brain killer Thrush agents.
Yeah,
and she's very.
I don't know why I
upset.
find that
Napoleon
funny.
keeps giving
She
her
has
money.
She
to
probably
get
has
her
to
help.
feed him soup every
Yeah.
night.
But anyway, the other thing that gives it a Halloween-esque atmosphere is the actress who played the Bride of Frankenstein is in it as the main evil doctor.
Elsa Lancaster.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who gets? She gets. I don't want to give it away, but she gets tossed down an elevator at one point. Right?
Yes. I think, and it's weird too because it wasn't really meant to be tragic or anything. It was meant to be kind of fun, funny.
So anyway, that's another one.
Funny elevator dropping. Okay, the Never Never Affair. I love this episode. This is got to be one of my favorites right there with Mad Matt Tea Party. Because this time you have Barbara Feldon, before she became, someone humorously wrote here, not long before she transferred from Uncle to Control, she was Agent 99 on Get Smart. A couple of months before she appeared in this episode, she's like this, I don't know, they put glasses on her and make her like this awkward uncle employee that's a translator or something, and she plays these weird little games with Napoleon where she pretends to have a gun. It's like weird role play going on here. And so Vaughn wants to give her some kind of an assignment because she really hates her job. I mean, I'm sure we've all been there. They all do this exciting stuff. He gives her this stupid little, it's just a stupid little assignment to pick up Waverly's tobacco, right? She has to go and take this weird circuitous route up to the Upper West Side or something to grab a tin of tobacco that he tells her is like loaded with microfilm. She winds up actually getting the microfilm accidentally of this real assignment and running around like crazy, trying to avoid Thrush agents chasing her hot on her heels and all that
This
stuff.
is the one where, since this is a tribute to Robert Vaughn, he has a really great moment where he makes this spectacular shot using, like, over his back.
Over his back, right. Yeah, he kills the guy.
Let's see.
He just sort of like... and I think Ilya makes a comment about that, right? And he's like, did you actually shoot that guy behind your back?
Yeah.
Really fun episode.
The shootout in the movie theater is probably the must-see moment of that episode, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, Cesar Romero's in it, too. I forgot about that. Okay, your next one is...
The Project Stragus Affair. I hope I'm saying that right. This, speaking of Star Trek, guess who's in this one? Both Leonard Nimoy and
William Shatner.
Thank you. I wanted to give you a chance.
Shatner's Secret.
So, yeah, so they...
Okay, William Shatner plays some kind of a guy who, in a failing business, he's an exterminator or something. He's got a wife.
Right.
He has bills. And I don't know why. Why did they Uncle, I don't know,
they are trying
Napoleon
to
and
discredit
Ilya?
this diplomat played by the guy who played Colonel Klink.
Right, Werner Klemperer.
From Hogan's Heroes.
Or Werner.
So they come up with this incredibly... That's the thing that's crazy about this episode, besides the Star Trek actors. They come up with this incredibly elaborate plan to discredit this guy, which starts with them coming up with some strigus chemical that's not real, but they make.
That's right. It's like has to do with chemical biological warfare and an exterminator.
William Shatner is pretending
he has
that
a working knowledge of chemicals,
Yes.
so they recruit him into this assignment. It's very dangerous. Sometimes they recruit innocent people who have no idea what's going on.
So it's great to see Robert Vaughn and William Shatner acting off each other, since to me they're a little bit similar.
They're like that alpha male of the 60s.
Yes, alpha male of the 60s.
And also there's a little brief exchange. Spock plays an agent, or Nimoy plays an agent of Thrush, working with Werner Klemperer. There's a brief exchange between Shatner and Nimoy in the episode where, I don't know, Shatner pretends to be drunk and keeps calling him Woodrow Wilson or something.
I don't remember that. Okay.
It's like very weird. Yeah, good episode. I would put that up there. We tried to keep our episode favorites different so that we could talk about more episodes that way. My next one is Gazebo in a Maze, which completely knocked me on my ass, I gotta say, because Jeanette Nolan is a complete and utter psychopath. This is, I don't know if she's the first in the line of these women in these episodes that are complete masochists.
You mean sadists? They're not masochists.
Or sadists, whatever. She's like
they want to hurt others, not hurt themselves. Dude.
Okay, this is like the first appearance of this Partridge character, apparently.
Partridge character who has got a huge hard-on for Napoleon, not the good kind. I mean, he really hates him.
I thought he hated Waverly.
Waverly and Napoleon Solo, they're like his arch nemesis. But go ahead.
And Jeanette Nolan plays this very sweet old lady that you think is like innocent throughout this whole thing. No, it turns out she's really into torturing people.
She's a little wacky. You can tell she's a little crazy. Yeah.
Well, I just thought she was eccentric, because she's British or whatever.
And Bonnie, speaking of One Day at a Time,
yes,
Bonnie Franklin is in it, and she looks like she's about 12.
We never found out if Bonnie Franklin was British. I mean, why would they cast her in this role?
I just don't have any idea. So my next choice was The Fiddlesticks Affair, which is probably not considered one of the all-time greats. I just think it's a lot of fun. Napoleon and Ilya get together. They have to rob a Thrush casino. And I guess what I like about it is there's a lot of funny exchanges between the two of them and their little plots to basically blow up this casino and screw over Thrush, who's got a big money-making scheme going on there. And the innocent in that particular case is this kind of funny hick girl who's like never done anything before, so they get her to
They've done
help
hicks
them.
before.
They
done hick girls. Which one was this?
She's the one who keeps saying, "Oh, fiddlesticks." Hence, The Fiddlesticks Affair.
The Girls of Nazarone. I like this one just for...
You just like all the blondes.
Well, no, it's not that. This is like a continuation involving another character from the Mad Tea Party affair, Lee Merriweather's character,
right,
who is like got this weird face. But this is also like a weird comment on steroids or something, because it seems to be about this drug these women ingest that turns them into super creatures, and then they burn themselves out. They turn into little She-Hulks and die. But also, Sharon Tate has an early role in this.
Yeah.
In this episode, she looks really beautiful in it too. I mentioned in my other notes for another podcast that I'm going to do that she really sticks out. Actually,
there's two things that I really remember. Napoleon gets his ass kicked by women. Over and over.
It's
again
like a Russ Meyer film.
And then the other thing, there's this ridiculous scene where he's trying to sneak into their headquarters, and he's behind a mattress or like an air mattress or something, and it's moving. You just see him moving along with the air
and the
mattress.
girls are like, did that just move over there? No. My favorite bit in this is this, because these women are like in the exercise racket, basically, their idea of torturing Napoleon is putting him on a stationary bike.
Right.
They tie him to a stationary bike, and he's just like
good.
going back and forth like that. That's their idea. Great episode. Love it. A lot of fun.
Okay, so I'm moving on to the second season now. We're in color, and The Foxes and Hounds Affair, featuring none other than Vincent Price.
Actually, I wrote that on my list too.
Oh no, we have.
How about that? Oh no, that we crossed the streams.
Crossed the streams. Well,
excuse me, Egon. You said crossing the streams was bad.
So anyway, but Vincent Price plays a Thrush agent, and he's
constantly having these battle of the sexes arguments with his
female Thrush agent. That's right.
By the way, have you ever heard of a handkerchief that blows up when you pull it out of your...
Right, he's got this handkerchief made out of plastic explosive, which needless to say...
It's a pocket square of death.
Becomes very important at the end because, of course, if you have an explosive pocket handkerchief, you have to use it later, or what's the fun of that?
Yeah, Chekhov's gun.
And then the other very interesting thing about this episode is this very strange scene with the innocent girl in this episode where Napoleon and Ilya are both locked up with her, and they're trying to convince her that she's sexy enough to distract the guard.
Oh, yeah. That was great. And he's like, use your basic training. Don't you have any basic training for being a woman?
No, I'm sorry, but there's a subtle implied menage a trois vibe going on there.
There is definitely.
You have to see it. I can't really explain.
Yeah, I know. That is a strange scene. Apparently, this woman has never had any need, reason, or education in the seduction of men, as it were. And the three of them sandwiched together in this scene. Yeah. It's weird, yes.
You get the feeling she'd never even been kissed with a tongue before, let alone anything else.
But the birds and the bees affair, I know it's silly. I know you find it silly. You laugh because basically you have very few visual effects to indicate that bees are flying around, so you've got a bunch of crazy people swatting at the air. It's like this old joke from a stand-up comedian. If you're walking across the street and you see another person on the other side of the street and they're being attacked by a bee, they look crazy because you can't see anything. It's like if you see somebody walk into a spider web.
Right.
They're like suddenly going all crazy and everything. But it was a fun episode. Once again, we have Kuryakin being captured. Ilya is the Jimmy Olsen of the show.
Yeah.
Because 5 minutes in, he's tied up or knocked unconscious.
And being tortured, preferably.
And usually Ilya is doing all the hard, heavy lifting work.
Yes.
And Vaughn is always making out with some
girl.
chick.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean, that's really the combination, is that you have your guy, you have your tech guy, and you have your sex object guy. There it is. All right, you're next up.
Is the Cherry Blossom Affair, where the
is that the one with France
uncle goes
Nguyen?
from Japan?
France Nguyen as the filmmaker.
Yes.
I was going to put that up there, but I didn't get the title. So
oh, really? Yeah. So it's another really fun episode, and part of it is fun for me because of Ilya actually gets to do the rescuing. Napoleon gets caught in this situation where has to fight these insane, violent marionettes. He's like tied up fighting these marionettes, and the girl in question is fighting the marionettes.
Right.
And so Napoleon...
She's not dizzy, actually. She's another smarty.
No, she's great.
A smart girl.
She plays a filmmaker, and they get out of it. But there's this running gag where Napoleon's picked up this prop gun from the beginning of the episode, and I don't know. It's a good episode. There's some clever stuff in it. I'm not explaining it too well.
Okay, the next one we move into the third season with the Her Master's Voice affair, which I thought was really great. Very creepy. Once again, we have another evil older woman played by Estelle Winwood. There's some kind of a girls' school, and she has this weird hypnotic thing going on with all of her. She's using the assemblage of students to carry out her bidding, working for Thrush, I suppose. And I just thought it was great, creepy, and funny at the same time. But the third season has been often unfairly criticized, I think, for being kind of taking the formula of Man from U.N.C.L.E. and making it campy. I don't know that they did that. I think they just made it more entertaining. They were just trying to keep people interested in this show.
Well, our perspective is different because we weren't alive in the 60s. But I think there's some good episodes in the third season.
And you're going to tell us about one?
Well, no. Actually, sorry.
No, we're
me,
still
my
in
next
the
one
second
is
season
still
for
in
you.
the second season with the Adriatic Express affair.
I guess you're a cheap date.
How could you forget that one?
I wouldn't.
It's on another one on a train. I do love these on a train episodes. This one even more so. They're on the train the entire time, and there's Thrush agents
Jesse
on the
Royce
train with them.
Landis has some kind of a horrible virus, and it's in a box of chocolates.
Right, although that's you're sort of giving it away there. But it's apparently this virus would end fertility for all women, something like that. It's really horrible, whatever it is, and it's one of those things where you're wondering to yourself,
why would you do that?
Yeah, why would you want to do that? But
the whole world domination racket, I don't get it. It seems like it's a lot of freaking headaches if you eventually get the job.
Yeah, there's a lot of dead bodies in this episode that they keep stuffing into the bathroom, and there's this poor hapless woman who keeps opening the bathroom door, and corpses fall on her.
Yes, corpses.
So that adds a little
everywhere.
bit of humor to what is a pretty
And also
exciting
Juliette Mills is in this, and I love Juliette Mills. I think she's a wonderful actress, and I think she's way hotter than her younger sister Haley.
And the main bad guy, the main Thrush agent, is a female, and she is very... I mean, they didn't...
she's evil, and she wears a lot of green.
She's a very...
You know why?
Formidable
by the way?
opponent. Why?
I think they thought this over. Evil, the color of evil is considered to be green.
Really?
Green is considered the color of evil,
right.
Yes. You would think black or red, but no, it's actually...
I just think it's great that the women are equally badasses on the show.
Oh, and also Juliet Mills plays another one of these characters like the Foxes and Hounds affair, where she doesn't have much experience dealing with or trying to seduce men. So her idea of seducing Solo is to lay prone on this thing and try to act all come hither.
That's a good scene. Yeah, he has to very patiently explain to her that she's whacked out.
Yeah,
right.
It's a New Year's party that takes place on a train, so it's kind of like trading places with lots of
They play that
dead
music,
bodies.
that the Man from U.N.C.L.E. funk dance music that they use in a lot of episodes for the.
My next one is the pop art affair. I love it. Once again, we're making fun. Oh, this is again, this is part of that mid to late '60s vibe before we got into hippies and everything else. This time we have this beatniks and thrush collaborators creating a hiccup gas. Which is awesome. And,
right.
And you've got this this crazy pop artist who keeps trying to sell this work of art. I have no idea what it is. It looks like a standee that you would find at a Target.
Yeah, and the actress, I wish I had looked up her name for this. I didn't know you were going to pick that one, but the actress was on the Monkees. I love finding these Monkees.
Yeah, I know.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. crossover.
Well, God, you see so many people who, we watch a lot of, right now, what we're watching, of course, the Monkees for Bronwyn's articles that she does, but we also watch Get Smart. I always watch Star Trek, and I always have to watch Twilight Zone for my podcast, so I'm always seeing every single actor from every one of these shows
and we're
popping
watching
up.
Bewitched to show our daughter.
Bewitched, that's right. I bought the whole set for my daughter, and we watch it. She loves the show. Love Bewitched. All right,
anyway,
your next one is The Nowhere Affair?
Oh, The Nowhere Affair. Okay, I thought this was a really good one for this tribute, because it's all about Napoleon. He is trapped out in the desert when he loses his memory. Do you remember this? He completely loses his memory, and he gets captured in this underground lab by thrush agents who want...
It's a town named Nowhere. There's an old prospector looking for gold.
Yes! The old prospector helps Ilya find Napoleon, who's completely lost his memory. So while he doesn't know who he is, and the thrush agents send this thrush woman in, even though she's a scientist and she doesn't really do this kind of spy stuff, and they want her to get him to fall in love with her and get his memory back.
Right. This episode is where I'm starting to see some of the goofiness creep into the Man from... Yes, I think this is where it started. The goofiness. I didn't
feel like it was that. I mean, I thought it was interesting, like the relationship that he had with the thrush agent.
It was different for me.
And she really fell for him at the end, of course.
I found it to be a different episode.
And you saw a different side of Napoleon's personality, because he completely loses his shit when he doesn't have his memory and he's not himself.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, the next one for me is the Off-Broadway Affair, very similar to the Pop Art Affair, where we're making fun of the convention.
I didn't like that one at all.
I loved it. I thought it was great because it's a stupid play. It's like half cabaret, half black box theater.
Oh, and who's the woman in there? The woman
Sherry Lewis.
Yes, that's awesome.
Looking gorgeous. I mean, it's amazing. Well, I can understand that she became like Sherry Lewis of Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop, but she was also a writer. She wrote an episode of Star Trek. Which one was it? The Lights of Zatar. With the one where Scotty's girlfriend is possessed by alien spirits or something like that, an alien entity.
Okay.
But she was an accomplished writer too, and she's a dancer and a singer, and the whole thing is basically Ilya joins the cast. He plays, what does he play?
He's the
trombone.
Yes, the trombone player for some reason has.
Don't shoot
lines.
me! I'm only trombone player. The pop art thing is the closest thing you see to hippies so far, because there's this whole art community, and apparently I guess they're all hippies or something. But in the Off-Broadway Affair, it's more about this kind of putting on a show in the mid-'60s feel to it. Okay, your next one.
Is the sort of do-it-yourself dreadful affair, written by our man, Harlan Ellison.
Right.
Where you've got this guy who's created all of these robots, these female robots who are going around... killing everybody.
I had a hard time understanding this episode. It was very confusing to me, like the Dove affair,
Really?
And yeah.
I mean, I think what I liked about it, I feel like it was a deliberate style choice that they had everyone playing sort of exaggerated versions of themselves. It seems like Ilya seemed even more confused than usual. Napoleon seemed even more like seducing the ladies than usual. Everyone was sort of playing these things to the maximum, like.
How many times does Ilya roll his eyes in this episode? if he's more confused than usual, or exasperated, or something like that, I don't know. I didn't really pick it up. You were like, "Oh, I get it, man. They're like acting like robots."
That's what I felt like. They were acting like programmed versions of themselves that were exaggerating all of their usual characteristics. I think you should check that one out again because
I guess I'm going to
really
have to.
good.
All right, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, I've got one more, and you've got how many more?
I've got one more.
All right.
My last one is the Suburbia Affair. Great episode, and it's also one of your favorites, but you didn't put it on your list because I'm going to talk about it, I guess.
Right.
Napoleon and Ilya have to masquerade as bachelors, quote-unquote, in the sticks. It doesn't make any sense that you have two well-dressed young men living together in a house in suburbia in this place called Peaceful Valley? Why
Pleasant Valley?
No,
that's
Pleasant
the
Valley. No,
monkeys.
it wouldn't be Pleasant Valley. It's like
Peaceful
something. It's Peaceful Acres. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, they're trying to find this old scientist who escaped from Thrush and from U.N.C.L.E, evidently, because he found a formula for antimatter. And
Yes.
Rita Shaw is in this episode, playing another bad woman. Also playing this matronly type who's like,
another
demands
monkey,
that everyone call her mom or something like that.
Another Monkey's character actress, too.
Right. And she was Frosty in the Odd Couple episode. Miss Witherspoon, she's always playing these kinds of people. But it's so ridiculous because you have, like we said before, the bread bombs and milk bombs and ice cream car chases. And it's watching it, we were like, because we were watching Get Smart also at the same time. And it was like, this could, with very few changes, this could be a Get Smart episode. It was really silly. Very fun episode, though.
The Concrete Overcoat Affair. This is kind of a strange one. It almost seems like it has two pieces to it. One is Napoleon getting sort of mixed up with this Italian girl.
You wrote Janet Leigh S&M.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. And this Italian girl sort of rescues him from a situation where Thrush agents are chasing him, but the end result is he gets stuck in having to marry her like a sort of shotgun wedding, even though they didn't do anything.
Yeah, he's hiding under her bed when her mom or her grandma comes in and sees that there's a man under her bed. It's not exactly a harsh indictment there, but she assumes that they're in an compromising position and dishonoring of the girl. So they force this wedding on him, and
then the other part of the
really
episode,
silly after that.
The Thrush agents, the two main bad guy Thrush agents, are played by Jack Palance and Janet Leigh.
It's either Jack Palance or Jack Palance.
Sorry.
Oh, Jack Palance is so weird in that episode,
they have a
wasn't
really
he?
Weird relationship. Janet Leigh is seems to me to be very into torture and S&M, and she also seems to be very into Jack Palance, who doesn't want anything to do with her, trying to
He's also very strangely energetic with some of his words. It's like he's got this Adam West, William Shatner thing going on.
So it's one of those ones that they obviously cast all those high-profile actors and they made it into a two-part film, and it's very entertaining.
Didn't you tell me that for one of the two-part episodes they took out Lee Chapman and brought in Yvonne Craig?
Yeah, but that wasn't for that one. That was The Bridge of Lions.
The Bridge of Lions, yes. A lot of these are very good. A lot of these are it's really fascinating to me how you can actually tell a story that way. And we kind of turned in this episode from a tribute to Robert Vaughn just to a tribute to Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah,
but
Napoleon Solo definitely makes the character, and Robert Vaughn's portrayal of the character makes the show really great. I mean, sometimes it just makes me feel happy and peaceful just thinking about it.
Yeah, and you're talking about wanting to do something along the lines of what you did with the Monkees for the Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yes, I would like to do a little
and you have to,
episode by episode.
You should do an alternate title thing with the affairs. like if you're going to talk about, like say if you're writing an article about the Never Never affair, call it the Agent 99 affair or something like that. That would be cool. Anyway, like I said, a lot of fun. And really, the show was actually meant to be kind of a vehicle for Robert Vaughn. That's why it was called The Man from U.N.C.L.E. But then they added Ilya in more and more. He was just sort of like a supporting part, and then it became like a kind of a duo.
He became very popular with young women. That was what I read.
But they couldn't change it to The Men from U.N.C.L.E.
It wouldn't have made sense. And really, Robert Vaughn is the man.
He is the man, absolutely, and he will always be the man. Henry, who played him, whatever. Anyway, any final thoughts? I'm going to wrap this up.
No, I'm very grateful for the chance to talk about Robert Vaughn, and that Robert Vaughn played this part, and he gave happiness and entertainment to so many people in so much popular culture over the years.
We have a new category this year: Best Film Ever Made by a Human Being. I would like to say to all the people out there who told me not to make this movie, Chaka Khan, who said no to me when I asked them for money, who wouldn't even read the script or return a simple phone call. To my favorite teacher, at film school whose parting advice to me was to try and find a job somewhere teaching Spanish at a women's college. And to Dolores del Sordo, the girl I loved, I really loved in high school, who left me for a junior varsity football player. To all these people, and many more, I would love to say thank you. I can't. Because what I really feel like saying is go!
Oh, no. Obviously, we just lost the satellite feed. That sucks.
You are now listening to Extreme Cinema with Andrew LeGanc and David Lawler.